Hi, welcome back to the Eagles Startup Channel, the channel for entrepreneurs and startups with a vision to achieve their goal in the shortest minimal time. Okay, in this video, I'm going to be sharing with us um, a strategy to scale your business, your sales, especially your sales, from 500K, 500,000 a month to 5 million a month within a space of 3 to 5 years. Yes, I mean how to scale your inflow, your net profit from 500,000 a month to 5 million a month. Yes, this is very, very possible. Now, there are other businesses that are doing far more than this monthly. You too can enjoy this. It's possible every month. Instead of earning the usual 500,000 net, you'll be seeing 5 million net. Now, how are we going to do this? First, we'll start from where you are, right? We'll start from where you are and make some changes. Now, those changes will require you to answer a few questions. Now, your ability to achieve this goal is completely dependent on you. It is completely dependent on you, especially if you're into the sales business, not the service business, especially if you're into the sales business, visible business that investors can see. Investors can see. The investor here is irrespective of whether it's a person or an entity, right? If an investor can see your business and see it worthy to be invested on, and then you have everything that is required, then you are good to go. So we are going to start by doing the following. It's just a matter of if you are willing to ask yourself this following 8 different questions, 7 to 8 questions, then you are sure to go, right? I conducted this in a seminar. I was asked to facilitate, and at the beginning, all hands were up. But as the question began to go down, the hands that were up began to reduce. And at the end of the day, no hands were up again, which means they were not ready. But that no hands were down doesn't mean doesn't mean that there's no room for change, right? There is room for change if and only if they are willing to take the idea, shoot at it, and then get the differences done. Okay, so we're going to start like this. I'm going to ask a question. You know your business, you understand everything you're going through. You're going to ask, you're going to answer by writing down yes or no, right? So in question 1, I will ask the question, if yours is true, if it's a yes, you can either write down a yes or a true. So I'll ask the same again for question 2 down to the last question. So if all are yes, then you are ready for investors. But if half is 4, then if half of it, if you got only half, then you have to do something to complete it. Then if yours is 1/7 or 1/8, then you have a lot of work to do, right? Okay, so we'll start by this. Question 1. Are you, okay, let me talk as though I am talking to a crowd now, because that is how the question was set. So I know you might be watching alone in your office, on your house, on the road, wherever you are. Assume that you are in the midst of others, right? Now, I'll take the question again. How many of you are working towards making between 5,000 to 5 million monthly? Yes, no. So if you are working towards making 500,000, no, from making towards between 500,000 to 5 million a month. Now, 500,000 could be maybe you're making 50,000 monthly now. right? You're currently making 50,000, or you're making far below 500,000 monthly, but you want to shoot at 500,000 monthly. That applies to you. Or you're making 500,000 now, or you're making 1 million now, or you're making 2 million now, and you want to shoot up to 5 million or even more. That is applicable to you. So that answers that is where this question is. So if you are working towards making that margin or even more, your hands up, or you write a yes or true. Okay? Now, the second question there is, how many of you started your business from scratch to where it is today? You started your business from scratch, right, to where it is today, which means you sat down, you planned the business, you bought everything you need to start the business, and then you began the business maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, or even if it's a year ago, right? You alone. I'm not talking about businesses that were handed over to you by your parents, because you might not know the history of the subsequent questions, right? So I'm talking to those that this question actually applies to those who started the business by themselves. But if the business was handed over to you, do not bother, because you can still do something about it, right? Why I'm saying so is, this question has a history. The history is, you know how much you started. Now, if the business was handed over to you and you have an idea of the startup cost, then that is okay with you. But if you do not have an idea of the startup cost, don't bother. We'll get to a point where you can follow up with. Okay. So if you started the business from scratch alone or with someone, yes, your hands up, or true, right? But if it is no, then rather you know. Okay. Now, question 3. Before starting your business, how many of you prepared a list of capital expenditures? Before you started a business, how many of you prepared a list of capital expenditures or items needed for the business, with budget cost and actual cost of each item? For example, you want to start a sales business, and your focus is on t-shirts, right? Now, before you even went to the market to buy t-shirts, I'm not talking about your home now. I mean, you want to start on a shop, right? Before you even you brought in your shop, or you laid your shop, your clothes in the shop. You must have rented the shop, or even if you built it yourself. It's also part of the capital expenditure when it comes to the shop leasing, or the shop renting, or the shop ownership. Now, the shop was rented or built, and then you laid your cabinets, your showcase, and everything. A carpenter was involved to do that, and then you did your electrical, and electrician was involved to do that, and then you did your signage and everything. Now, you did all of this, and then but before you did all of this, you must have listed out all of this, and as a budget, not the actual right now, the budget. And then after the budget, the implementation was done. The carpenter came, the electrician came, the plumber, everyone came, and then everything has been done. All that remains for you to do now is to bring in your clothes and hang them and begin to sell. So you did all of this from ground up, from beginning to the end. You took down all the cost of everything that was spent on achieving this, right? You did that. Okay, so that answers question 3. Even if you didn't do it, but whoever gave you the business did all of this and gave you an estimate or actual cost, right, of what I was spent. Now, for those of you who did it, you must know the budgeted cost and the actual cost, which means budgeted cost is what you listed out that you're going to spend before the job was done. And then actual cost is what actually you spent, right, after all has been done. Right? So know the difference and the variance. Okay. Question 4. Why running your business? Right? Why running your business? How many of you pen down, or you write down, or you note down, or you impute all the revenue, coming in as inflow or going out as outflow or expense. What this means is now your business have started running. You brought in your clothing and then you started your sales. When each cloth is sold, do you write it down on a book or on a paper? Or do the customer just pay using POS and that's it? No penning down of anything. Or you spent money buying a sachet of water or bottle of water or a snack. It is now an expense, right? You spent money buying a snack as a lunch and a bottle of water. That amount of money that was spent in buying all of this, were they written down somewhere? Or did you input it in a book or on a paper or somewhere, even maybe on a phone? Now, this is one item money spent on an item in a particular day, or money coming in for an item in a particular day. If you did that for one day, did you do it for the number of days you run the business? Maybe your work days are Monday to Saturday. Each day of your business, do you record the revenue or the sale that you made? Did you also record the expense that you spent money for per day? Did you do that? Did you write the date, the amount, and the purpose for which that money was spent, or for which that money came in for? If you've been a customer is owing you, did you record it down, or you memorize, or maybe because you think the sales was done through POS, that's it. So if you actually wrote down everything that was spent per day, per week, per month, then a yes or true is your answer. But if you did not pen down what comes in, and you don't pen down what goes out, and you don't also pen down what has been owed the business, then your answer is no, right? So that is question 4. Now, question 5. Yeah, for those of you that are core into sales, right? For those of you that are core into sales, right? For service business, it also matters to you depending on your kind of service business. Now, how many of you pen down your cost of sale? Cost of sale. The first question 4 is what you have sold. Now, cost of sale is you went to the market, you bought items you want to sell. That is cost of sale. Or, the goods you want to sell, the goods you bought for sale. How many of you, at the end of when remember what you wrote down to go and buy in the market may be more or less compared to what you actually bought. Note that. You may go out there, your shop is, you have 5 items that are finished and you want to go and buy them again to restock. But you went to the market and instead of buying only 5 items, you bought 5. So you bought 10 or 7, or you bought only 3. Now that you are back with other items, have you taken time to write down the new cost? The cost of buying that item? Because I said here, did you pen down cost of sale and sale price, and then the profit at the end of that product before new ones are replaced? Which means you have already your product in the shop, but that's not our focus now. The focus now is the new item that you just bought. You've bought them, maybe there are 5 of them or 10 of them. You bought them, you know how much you bought them. What is the cost of each? Now, this cost includes the actual cost of the item and the landing cost, which of course include your transportation, your expenses, all of that will add to your costs. For example, you bought a t-shirt at 5,000. Now you spent 2,000 in your transportation to and fro, right? And then you also spent money for your lunch or dinner. And for those of you that even travel and spend nights, right? The cost of transportation, the cost of your hotel, the cost of your meal while on this purchase, they are all part of your expense that need to be added to the cost of all the items you bought to make your total cost of sale. You don't just add only, you don't just focus on the cost of the item. No, you are going to run serious loss. You are going to run serious loss, right? Even if someone gave you a free ride to and fro, that does not mean you didn't spend. Like now, that money that would have been spent to add it as your cost because you actually traveled. Even though it was free, you actually traveled. So it's part. Add it. Add it. Okay? Add that. Even if you don't know the cost of traveling, find out the cost of traveling to and fro. Add it. Okay? So now, when you are done, that will not determine your sales price. So if you didn't note or if you didn't jot down all of this, you spent night there, you don't know, you can't remember how much you spent in hotel. Even if someone gave you free accommodation, it's still part of expense. Find out how much it's even if it is to find out the least hotel cost, note that down and add it as your expense. It's important you note all of this, right? So if you do this, that means your answer for question 5 is yes. If you don't take down all of this, that means your answer for question 5 is no. Now, question 6. How many of you calculate your monthly expense? Peradventure, some days you write down, some days you don't write down your expense. Okay, let me take the question again. Question 6. How many of you calculate your monthly expense, monthly cost of sale, monthly sales, from where you then get your monthly gross and then monthly net profit? Now, your gross is when you minus your cost of sale from your sales, right? When you minus your cost of sale from your sales. This cost of sale does not include your operating business, your operating expense. So operating expenses, you're in your business, you're in your shop. Whatever you spend running that business per day, per week, per month, those are your operating expense. It does not necessarily, I'm not talking about what you spend going to buy your items to the stock. No, that is a different thing. And all of that form your cost of sale, from where you deduct from your sales to get your gross. Now, to get your net, you need to deduct whatever is left from deducting your cost of sale from. Okay, say let me assume your cost of sale is 20,000, right? And your sales, your overall sales for that month is 100,000. All right. Now you minus 20,000 from 100,000, and that gives you 80,000, right? And now, while running your business for that month, this now does not include your cost of sale, just your expense while running your business for that month. Your expense for that month was 30,000. Now, remember you had 80,000 left as your gross. So you now deduct 30,000 from that 80,000. So now it gives you the balance there is 50,000, right? So that 50,000 is your net. Do you note it down? Do you do all this calculation at the end of the month, or you just continue your business like that? It's important you note them down. So if you do note them down, your answer for question 6 will be yes. If you do not, or you partially note them, partial is not like the same as yes. So if you do not note them down, your answer is no. If you say partially, I don't know where to place you now. Because with partial, you do not get the complete net. You cannot do, there's no way you can actually say here that what you did is correct for that month. Okay? So, except you have to go back and complete it. Okay, so for question 7, how many of you can clearly say he or she has recouped the initial capital used in starting the business? Question 7, I'll take it again. How many of you can say clearly from all that I've said that you have recouped the initial cost, initial capital used in starting your business? Which is to say, if you've been doing all the questions I've been asking you from question 1 to question 6, can you comfortably and confidently tell me, yes, I started my business 4 years ago, and within the 3 years of my business, I have recouped the 100,000, the 200,000, the 500,000, the 2 million, the 5 million I spent starting my business. Now, how will you know how much you spent? Remember question 2, question 3, and question 4. If you do not know how much you spent in starting your business, which means how much you spent setting up your shop, first of all, that is one aspect of your capital expenditure, and 2, how much you spent stocking your store before you even start selling. These two costs or these 2 expenses form your initial capital, initial startup capital. I say it again. Before you stocked your shop with goods to sell, you spent money setting that shop together. That is one cost. Now, after your shop was ready, you spent another money stocking. That is another cost. So putting these 2 together will give you your initial startup cost. Now, if you know this cost, can you say that after 3 or 4 years or 5 years of running your business, you have recouped this cost? Not that you've made this money, no. Recouping means you have gained that money, you have separated it, and you kept it aside and say, yes, this is the money I spent starting my business. Say 5 million, you say, okay, this 5 million from your net altogether is what you spent. So if you remove that 5 million, your business will not crash. Your business will not go down, right? Which means your 5 million startup cost has been set aside. Your business is still running with the remaining profits. I'm sure you understand my question. You spent 5 million. At the end of 4 years, you take out 5 million from your net, from your business, from business fund, and you say, this is the 5 million I spent in starting you, so I'm taking it off. If your business do not collapse after that 5 million have been removed, if your business does not go down or you don't suffer expense, then you can comfortably say you have set up a smooth running business. If you can do this and your business do not suffer for funds, which means you don't go borrowing somewhere else to continue paying salary, continue doing this, continue doing that, it can comfortably run on what is left after that 5 million has been removed. Then you are the kind of, your business is the business investors are looking for. Yes. Your business is a business that, the kind of business that investors are looking for. But before I continue, let's take final question. Finally, how many of you right now are ready to sign an agreement with an investor who comes with 100 million? An investor comes to you with 100 million. This is where the answer to our in the first question 1 is going to be coming from. Question 1 says, how many of you are working towards making 500,000 to 5 million monthly? This question 8 it has the answer to question 1, right? So I take question 8 again, and it says, how many of you right now are ready to sign an agreement with an investor who comes with 100 million, I could say $100 million or 100 million Kenyan currency, 100 million South African currency, 100 million Nigerian naira. An investor comes in to invest in your business with a plan of establishing 10 branches at an approximate cost of 10 million. Now, the 100 million is for you to replicate your business into 10. I'm sure you're getting my point. The investor has seen that, yes, you are able to raise the initial capital used in starting your business, which means you have built a system that can replicate itself. You built a business that can replicate itself. The ability for you to remove 5 million from your business without your business collapsing or having a need for funds shows that it's on its own a stand-alone business able to replicate itself based on the structure, the financial structure you've put in place. Right. The investor comes now, he's willing to give you 10 million, 100 million, because from every indication, you have all the report needed for that investor to look at. Your bank statement is showing, your cash flow is showing it, your profit and loss is showing it, all the documents is showing it. The investor comes in and gives it to you. Sign an agreement with me that in 3 to 5 years' time, because you took 3 years to run this your business and restock me and take off your capital. So which means in that same 3 years or say 3 to 5 years, you can replicate this business. And you can recoup the 100 million used in setting up these 10 branches. So he or she, the investor throws in the 100 million to you, establish 10 branches, excluding the current one, because the current one becomes the headquarter. The 10 becomes the branch. Now, you took the 100 million, you set up the 10 branches. Now, but before you did this, let's assume your net every month was right now, not is anymore, your net before you replicated your business, your net before you established the branches, let's assume your net was 500,000 every month, your net profits. Now, you have 10 branches plus 1, which is what? 11. 500,000 times 11. Okay, say 500,000 times 10 is 5 million, right? So if you take away the main brand, which is the mother brand that set up the other ones, and deal only on the 10, and each of those 10 is making 500,000 every month, how much is your proceed? 500,000, I mean, as in your net profit now, not your gross, no, your net profit, 500,000 as your net. How much would be your net profit from those 10 shops, which is 5 million? You see now, you have answered the question yourself. So your ability to replicate your business into 10 will give you 5 million. And if you add the additional 5 million from the mother company, you have 5.5 million coming in every month. Do you see how and why Walmart and the rest of them are growing and expanding? Why? Because they were able to set up a system that recouped their initial capital after a set of years, and investors saw it and they're willing to put in their money. So if at the end of these 8 questions, or question 1 to 7, your answer is yes, or true, then be ready for an investor. You can seek for an investor yourself. You can go to the bank. You can seek for an investor out there. All they want from you is evidence that you have achieved this. And once that is okay with them, then you have money for yourself rolling in. I'm sure I've made an impact to you today. This is not the usual. This is a talk that I believe will help your business scale from even 1 billion a month is all in your hands. Nobody can do it for you. It's all in your hands. So if you're one of those that consume their proceed before it even mature, today make a turnaround. Make a turnaround. Now, I have a tool that can help you correct the errors. Right? I have a software called Biz Run 2. Biz Run 2, that means business running 2. And it's actually out there on the internet. Right? I strongly suggest you visit it. Let me share my screen with you. Now, here is the screen. It's called Biz Run 2, and this is a dashboard. As you can see, it gives current monthly sales. This is our demo. This is our demo. I'm going to share the demo link, on the screen and also at the description, so you can visit it and take a look for yourself. Okay, you can sign up here and use the free forever plan for yourself. Right, use the free forever plan for yourself, and if everything goes well with you, then you can now sign up to use the paid plan. We have a free forever plan that you can sign up, do a test, try, see whatever it is, it will to help you achieve. And if everything goes well, then feel free to now sign up for the pay plan, right? But it has everything you need. Now, I wouldn't want to go detail into all of this. You can view it with your phone. Okay, let me just show us with the responsive. Okay, it has signed out. Let me sign in again. Sorry, it signed out quickly. Let me sign in. I'm going to drop the demo link, right? Which all you just do is clicking and you are good to go. Now, this is the mobile view. So with your phone, you can run the entire application, and you can also install it as an app. Once you, okay, let me show us here, right? See that? These are all the menus you need to run the business. Now to close this this menu sidebar on your mobile, just click on this bar here. Now top here, you have the opportunity to install it as an app, right? Or once you load this page, the system will ask you to install it as an app, right? So let me go back to the desktop view. So I'll strongly suggest you take your time and go through the application. Everything I've discussed, regarding your documentation for finances, this application can help you gather a number of them, right? That will also reduce your expense with the auditors, because if auditors are to prepare your cash flow, which of course you get from here, it will be quite an expensive one for you, right? You need to spend a lot to get your cash flow from an auditor. Now, but with this, your expense will reduce. Also, the system will enable you generate your profit and loss statement, which you get under your sales menu, right? So I believe that when you add all of this to yourself, all of these tools to your business, you have nothing to lose, rather you gain. You see, where you are seeing green here shows that you are making profits, right? So take your time, either with your phone, but I strongly suggest you use your laptop or your desktop to review the application, right? Now, with this, you have armed yourself with a tool that will help you scale your business, okay? So if this video has impacted positively in your life, in your business, please do not forget to give us a thumbs up, and if possible, also subscribe. There are tons of videos out there that have a bit of this, in my channel. Feel free to look at them and watch them. They're all free, okay? They're all free. Let them make an impact in your life. Thank you and see you in the next video. Remain blessed.